All right. I wrote the title for the next one while you were working on the previous one. The next shading technique is cross hatching. It is basically when the lines are crossing each other, the parallel lines need to cross each other. Or there are other ways of working with it too. So I'm going to divide this again into smaller sections. I think I have seen it done 4 different ways. The hardest way of working with cross hatching for me is using small X's. Those are lines that cross each other. Basically, it's similar to hatching. The more X's you have, the darker your value is going to become. You need to control your marks and find the space between the previous marks you made. Yes, they may overlap each other, otherwise you can't make it really darker, especially in these sections. You can go ahead and draw 2, 3 at a time. Just don't forget to cross them over. This is most annoying way of shading for me. No idea why. You could create your own shading marks if you replace the X's with little hearts, circles, your initials. You can really personalize your shadings. The next one is similar to the previous hatching. When you're going along a shape with one set of lines, and then the next set of line is going to be tilted, then the next set of line is going to get tilted again. All of these lines are parallel, and another different set of lines, one more angle. So you can still see the lines and which set they belong to and the set that they belong to, and you can also see the values getting darker and darker. My favorite way of working with cross hatching is the random set of parallel lines. Drawing 3 or 4 parallel lines at a time. And tilting the directions of the lines compared to each other. Across longer diagonal. Is there such a thing as longer diagonal? So this one is quite simple, quite messy. You can go across it with one set of lines and tone it down. I try to keep the distance in this case even between the lines, not to get closer to each other, because the last one is basically similar to this, but the closer you put the lines together, the darker values you can get. So it's pretty much the same, but I'm changing the, I'm going to mark this out, I'm changing the distance between the lines. Can you see that? So I'm putting them closer and closer to each other, and over here the lines are farther and farther from each other. Alright, you can pause the video, pick 1 or 2 of your favorite shadings for cross hatching, and create a section in your sketchbook. Again, the center of your circle should be dark, going to light. Stippling is our last shading technique. And stippling is basically using dots. If you are using a skinny marker like I am doing, this can take forever. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and work on a small section of this image. And as I mentioned, you can create your own shading techniques, maybe in the rest of the sketchbook. So stippling is again using dots. Basically what you want to make sure is that you touch the marker or your pen to the paper carefully. We are not looking for check marks. If you hit the paper, you want to create little check marks or lines. That should not happen. Also, I am not banging my hand on the table. You can't hear that my hand is lifted because it is not. I'm checking the spaces. I am not looking anywhere else but on my paper. You can't do stippling without watching where you touch your drawing utensil. Similar to the cross hatching or the stippling, the first section, the more marks you make, the darker your value is going to become. And again, I'm making sure that I'm not lifting my hand. I'm just touching the tip of the pen down. And I hope that you can see at the center of this wedge is getting darker, and the narrower end of the wedge. And I kept the outside lighter by adding only just a few dots. I'm always checking my work also by looking at it with squinting eyes to make sure that I see the values change from dark to light gradually, just like with blending. If you have time and you have fun, you can close this section down and create your own shading mark. As I mentioned, you can use initials, any kind of shapes. Just gonna go ahead and draw a small flower, because yes, I could shade. With any kind of mark. This is for you to do if you are done with all of the shading techniques and they are done properly. This is the end of the tutorial. See you guys soon. Bye bye.